Hello guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my videos. Hey guys, the new best Bloodline tier list Shindo Life. Now, it's actually been quite a while since my last one, and a lot of people have been asking, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring you a new one. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember that like button, click on more to get right to the video, guys. Alright, so I'm gonna be going quick through every single one of the new bloodlines, so if you want to get an in-depth perception of the bloodline itself, go ahead and use it yourself. Akuma is going to go to A tier. It does high damage, very good combo ability, and the mode is actually really good. Goto Jokai is going to be going above Akuma in A tier. This ability is actually really good for combos. The second ability is one of the best iframes of the game, and third ability is really good. Ashtorm's going to be going to C tier. It does high damage, but it's very bad overall, and it's very hard to hit the abilities outside of combos. Azarashi's going to D tier. This bloodline is actually not that good overall, but it is good for M1 combos. Zip Cycles are going to B tier. Actually has one of the best counters in the game. Bankai Akuma is going to be going above normal Akuma. It actually is very good overall, and actually is better than normal Akuma. Black Shock, bottom of D tier, is just a bad bloodline overall. The Z spec kind of carries it. Blood is going to be going to S tier. Actually has the single best stun in the entire game. It actually has another stun and an ability that can actually heal you. Bolt is going to D tier. Actually at the top of D tier, has a lot of range, but it doesn't do that much damage overall, but it still can be useful sometimes, and it's very fun to use. Boramaki is going to go to the top of B tier. Overall, Boramaki is a pretty decent bloodline, hence why it's in B tier. Bubble's going to go to the top of C tier. Actually, is very good for, zoning people away, but other than that, it's not that good right now. Clay's be going to the bottom of C tier. The main thing this bloodline is actually good for is mainly just avoiding people or being super annoying. Cobra's going to go to the top of D tier. Cobra overall, I feel like people don't really grasp just how bad this bloodline is. Compared to the other bloodlines in the game, Cobra is pretty terrible. Crystal's going above Blackshot in D tier. Crystal's mainly carried by one of the abilities, and if you want to say that this bloodline is good because of that single ability, you can go ahead and do that, but overall this bloodline is not worth it compared to other ones. Dong is going to the top of C tier. Dong is actually one of the longest range bloodlines of the game. It does a decent amount of damage. Diva Ren's going into B tier, probably in the middle of B tier. Actually is very good for iframes, but that's it. Deusek is going to A tier, at the bottom of A tier. Actually has one of the best auto dodges in the game. It actually has a very good stun attached to it. Eastwood Karashi is going to B tier in the second one because Eastwood Karashi actually does a lot of damage overall and actually is very good for combos. I'm actually going to be putting Emerald to the bottom of C tier because I feel like it doesn't really make, like the damage it does doesn't make up for the fact that it is very good. Explosion is going into C tier at the probably above Emerald. This is because Explosion is actually very good for its damage output and no hand signs. Forge Ren definitely top of A tier. It still does a ton of damage, but the cooldowns on it actually brought it down from S tier. Frostfire, worst bloodline in the game besides Scorch and Lava because it's terrible. What can I say? Ghost Karashi is going to the top of B tier. The M1 nerf actually hit it really hard. That was the main thing that was carrying this bloodline, and they also made it so the first ability cannot be used during combos anymore. So they kind of gutted this bloodline. Giovanni Shiz is going to B tier, probably below Eastwood Karashi. They actually buffed this bloodline a ton, which is why it's going to be in the middle of B tier. Gold Sands be going to D tier, below Bolt. Overall, this ability is just, this bloodline is mainly carried by its ability, which is much like Shizen, but you should just be using Shizen instead of this. Hair is going to C tier. I'm actually putting Hair above Clay. Above Ashstorm, below Bubble. Wanzuyame is actually going into D tier, at the top of D tier. I feel like this bloodline overall is decent, but it's not decent enough to be within, in a higher rank. Ice is going to be going below Crystal. It's the same reason as Crystal. I'm actually going to be Wanzuyame at the D tier, and Inferno is going to be putting below it on C tier because I feel like Inferno is very good for combo extending, but that's going to be about it for Inferno. Ink is going to be going to the bottom of B tier. It actually has a very good stun and a very good block breaker, and the mode is actually really good as well. Iron Sand top of C tier actually has one of the longest range M1s in the entire game, but the M1s doesn't carry the fact that the abilities are not that good. Eternal's going to go to C tier, probably above, no, it's going to be going above Iron Sand. Eternal overall isn't quite as it used to be because it has been mega nerfed. Jeramaki's going to B tier. I'm actually putting Jeramaki at the top of B tier. It actually has a really good stun, actually has pretty decent abilities. The only thing that's bad is the third ability of it. Normal Jokai is going to be going to probably into C tier. I'm putting Normal Jokai probably below Iron Sand, above Dagon. Normal Jokai is just Golden Jokai with less damage. Kakatsu is going to go into C tier. I'm actually going to be putting Kakatsu above probably Clay and below Ashstorm. Kakatsu is actually really good for combo setting and does a lot of damage. Kaiju is going to go to C tier, above Inferno. It actually does a lot of damage output, and the monkey is really annoying. Kamaki is going to B tier. I'm actually putting Kamaki probably at the top of B tier. Has a really high damage output, but the abilities are not that good overall. Karada is definitely going into C tier. I'm actually putting Karada to the top of C tier. Karada overall is actually a really underrated bloodline. Does a lot of damage, and it is very good overall. Kenichi is going to the bottom of A tier. So it has that really annoying passive auto dodge on the mode, which actually makes it really good. Not to mention that the third ability is actually quite good overall. Dokai top of C tier, really good for M1 combos and combo extending. Conchu is actually going to the bottom of B tier. Actually is really good against noobs because it does chi steal. Lava, terrible bloodline. Light Jokai is going into A tier. I'm actually putting Light Jokai below Dio second above Kenichi. The mode has actually been majorly nerfed, but other than that, Light Jokai is still really, really good. Mecha Spirit is actually going into B tier. I'm going to be putting Mecha Spirit probably above Ghost Karashi and below Jiramaki. This bloodline is really good for its abilities. It actually is really good for combos as well. Minakami is going into C tier. It's actually going to be going probably to the top of C tier. It still has that really annoying iframe, but it has been mega nerfed. Minakaze is going into A tier, probably above Kenichi, below Light Jokai. Even though Minakaze has been nerfed a lot, it still is really good as a bloodline. The mode is still insane. Mud is going into D tier. I'm actually putting Mud probably above all the other ones because I'm biased. Naramaki is going to B tier. I'm actually going to be putting Naramaki to the bottom of B tier. Overall, this bloodline is really, really avoidable, and it's not worth its rarity. Nature's going to get to D tier. I'm actually putting Nature probably to the... I'm going to be putting Nature above Mud because Nature is better than Mud. Nectar's going to C tier. I'm actually putting Nectar below Kaijin. I actually feel like Nectar is a decent bloodline, which is why it's going to be in C tier. Oda Sabru is going into A tier, very easily A tier. Oda Sabru, I'm going to be putting above Dioseko, below normal Akuma. Oda Sabru is really, really good because of that second ability and the weapon spec of it. Okami is going to go into C tier as well. I'm actually putting it probably below Karana, above Eternal. Overall, Okami is actually a very high damage dealing bloodline, and it is good. Paper is actually going into C tier. I'm actually putting Paper below Minakami in C tier. Overall, Paper still does a lot of damage, but it actually has been nerfed a lot. Atomic is going to C tier below, probably above Asher Storm. Atomic still deals a lot of damage, still has a really, really good stun attached to it. Pikaseko is going into B tier. I'm actually putting Pikaseko below a Zimseko. Pikaseko still is a very good bloodline just for getting around and things like that, but they have nerfed the third ability's damage. Vine is actually going to B tier as well. I'm going to be putting Vine probably above Naramaki and below Kachu in B tier. The auto dodge Vine is extremely good, and that's mainly the ability that carries it. Ryan Akuma is actually going to be put into S tier. I'm actually putting Ryan Akuma in S tier. Ryan Akuma right now is one of the best bloodlines of the game because it does have a lot of iframes, it does a lot of damage, and overall has anything you would want out of a bloodline. Ryan Ren is definitely going into A tier. I'm going to be putting Ryan Ren below Minakaze, mainly for that second mode. The second mode of Ryan Ren is really, really good, and the second ability of Ryan Ren is very good. Rengoku's going to B tier. I'm actually putting it below Mecha Spirit. It actually is very, very good for combos, but other than that, there's not really any reason to use Rengoku. Renshiki is actually going into A tier at the very bottom. Renshiki is actually a very underrated bloodline, other than the second ability, which is terrible, by the way. Renshiki is a very decent bloodline overall. It actually can carry you PvP because it has one of the best counters in the game. Now, Riser Kuma is going to be going below Renshiki. I feel like Riser Kuma is kind of carried by the auto dodge right now. The other abilities of Riser Kuma are just very, very not good right now. Raikage Shizen and Shizen are both going to be going to the bottom of A tier. Shizen's actually better than Raikage Shizen. Overall, Shizen's very good for zoning people, but that's going to be about it. Ryuji Kenichi obviously going to be going into S tier. I'm actually putting Ryuji Kenichi below Ryan Akuma in S tier. Ryuji Kenichi has that low HP mode, and no, it's definitely going to be going above it. The third ability of it is also quite good, but you can block these abilities. I don't know why people use that as an argument for Ryuji Kenichi. Oh, you can block the abilities. Nobody's going to use it in a scenario where you could block it. Mainly, what people are going to use Ryuji Kenichi is going to be for combos, and right now the third ability is very, very insane for combos. And by the way, the mode has been banned in Shindo's... Normal Sabru is going to B tier. I'm actually putting Normal Sabru above, probably below Boramaki. I'm actually moving Boramaki up to around right here. Mecha Spirit, I'm going to be moving to A tier at the bottom of A tier. So when it comes to Normal Sabru is actually very, very good for that one ability that teleports you to them, which is the first one if I'm not mistaken. It actually is very good for a combo extending, not to mention that it does have a counter and a clone ability. Normal Sand is going to go to C tier. It's carried by Sandflight. I'm going to be putting it probably near the bottom of C tier. It's carried by Sandflight, but other than that, Sand is not that good. Sriracha is going to be going above Riser Akuma. I'm actually putting Sriracha below Kenichi and above Red Shiki. So overall, Sriracha Akuma is very, very good for its mode and its mode alone. Mainly, the mode of it is actually very insane, but the actual abilities of it, there's usually better things to use. Satori is going to be going to the top of S tier. I know you guys probably didn't expect this, but right now Satori is actually insane. The C spec, for some reason, they made it so you can use abilities during it now. So it's like a iframe ability that you can use abilities during. Not to mention the weapon spec does a lot of damage. Has the single best stun in the entire game damage-wise. And actually is a very good stun other than that, not just damage-wise. And they actually buff the auto dodge so it makes you faster. So overall, Satori is actually a very, very insane bloodline right now. I would say to use this bloodline if you guys can. Scorch is going to D tier below Frostfire because it's just the worst Frostfire. Station is going to C tier. I'm actually putting Station probably like below Ashes Storm on C tier. Station overall is decent for combo extending, but I feel like Station doesn't really have the oomph that all the other bloodlines in the game have. Sengoku's going into B tier. I'm actually putting Sengoku below Vine, above Naramaki. Sengoku overall is actually very good for its stun, but other than that, there's not really any reason to ever use Sengoku. Normal Senko is actually going into A tier. I'm actually putting normal Senko probably below, at the bottom of A tier. Normal Senko is actually very, very insane as a bloodline. I would say if you guys haven't used Senko yet, go use Senko. It actually is very, very good right now. Normal Shadows are going into C tier. I'm actually putting it above Sand and below Nectar in C tier. It's just not that good right now. Shindai Ren is going to A tier. I'm actually putting Shindai Ren probably, honestly, below Minakaze and above Ryan Ren. When it comes to Shindai Ren, the third ability takes 100k chi now. The mode M1s have been nerfed. So pretty much everything that's been insane about Shindai Ren has been nerfed besides the throwables of it. But it still is a very good bloodline, which is why it's going to be an A tier. Shindai Akuma is definitely going to the top of C tier. I feel like Shindai Akuma, it's still an Akuma, it still gives you that insane stat boost, but the abilities are quite literally almost useless for Shindai Akuma. The bloodlines above it are actually much better than it. Shiver Akuma is definitely going to A tier. I'm actually putting Shiver Akuma probably, honestly, I'm going to be putting it above Bankai just because of the amount of just stalling it has. Shiver Akuma doesn't really do that much damage, but it has a lot of stalling attached to it. Smoke is going to the bottom of B tier, has a good counter, is very good for traveling. Sound is going to C tier. I'm actually putting it below Paper. It does pretty much the same exact thing as Paper. There's not really much else to say about it. Steam is definitely going to D tier. We're going to be putting Steam probably below Blackshock in D tier. Overall, Steam is not good at all as the bloodline. Normal Storm is definitely going to C tier. I'm going to be putting Storm probably, honestly, below Explosion in C tier. Storm is honestly not that good as the bloodline. Tengoku is going to go to B tier. I'm actually putting Tengoku probably near the top of B tier. I'm going to be putting it above Jeremaki, below Kamaki. Overall, just Tengoku does a lot of damage output. Is very good for combos. Tsunami is definitely going into C tier. I'm going to be putting Tsunami probably, honestly, I'm going to be putting it below Kakatu in C tier, along with Typhoon being right below that. They're not that good anymore. They were basically a very bad AoE spam bloodlines, but they actually were majorly nerfed. Variety Mud, this pains me to say it, but I'm going to be putting Variety Mud into C tier below Sand. Variety Mud is mainly going to be used for that clone ability because the other abilities have been really nerfed. So Xeno Dokai is actually so good for PvE, I had to make its own rank here. Xeno Dokai definitely going to be mainly for PvE. That's going to be it about it. Glacier is going to get to C tier. I'm actually going to be putting Glacier probably above Station below Ashes Storm. Glacier, the Mirror's ability is very good as an ability, but that one ability doesn't really carry the bloodline. Bankai Inferno, definitely going to be an A tier. I'm going to be putting it at the top of A tier. I do not feel like it's an S tier bloodline, but the Bankai Inferno Breakaway, obviously a super insane ability that is very good. Alfurama Shizen is definitely going to get to S tier. I'm going to be putting Alfurama Shizen above Blood. This ability has the stunning, it has the damage, it has pretty much anything you would want out of a bloodline. The main thing that actually sets it back is that the mode drain on the mode is actually so insanely high, you're almost never going to use the mode. Doku Tengoku is going to be another S tier bloodline. I'm actually putting Doku Tengoku probably below Ryan Akuma and above Alfurama Shizen. Doku Tengoku after the buffs is definitely an S tier bloodline. It is one of the best PvP bloodlines in the game because that's pretty much insanely good PvP set. And just try it out if you guys don't believe me. Now, Satori Ren, this pains me to say it, but it's definitely going into B tier. I'm going to be putting Satori Ren below Pikaseko, above Ink. Satori Ren overall, after the nerfs, is not that good as a bloodline. It's definitely not worthy of being 1 out of 300. Anyways, guys, that's for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, make that like, subscribe, more 6 guys. Bye-bye.